It's all an inside job. And everything that you experience inside of this field, you experience inside of this field because it is inside of this field. And though the reality that shows up in your mind appears to be about this other person, it comes from your brain cell structure. We call that projection. What has been denied and suppressed, sooner or later will be projected. Now, we live in a culture that explains that projection is taking something that is inside of you and putting it outside of you. That's not projection. Projection is taking an energy inside of you that you don't want to deal with, and when it fires, making your brain's image of someone else out of it. You project the content to these brain cells that have been denied and suppressed into your brain's image of them, and they show up in your mind with your problem attached. But you're sure it must be their problem because it's showing up attached to your image of their body. Now, I have a question for you, because everybody's convinced when those things show up embodied in our brain's image of someone else that the problem must be everybody else's. If they're the one with the problem, why are you the one with the pain? Something about that doesn't make sense. What is pain? I would offer that pain is nothing but a warning signal that you've put an energy into your field that doesn't belong there. You know, if we listen to Einstein, Einstein has an interesting thing to say to us. He says this, and it's interesting how long it takes for science to catch up with so-called scientists, because we still have scientists working in the material realm, or so-called scientists. But here's what Einstein said. On such things as matter, we have been all wrong. What we have heretofore called matter is energy. Energy whose vibrations have been so lowered as to be perceptible to the senses. There is no matter. Einstein says matter doesn't exist. So once you recognize you live in an energetic world, you realize that your body is not a body, but rather is an energy system. If we could see what was there, actually there, we would see, when we look at what we call a body, a whirring mass of electrons, protons, neutrons, and light. We would not see physical, because it's all energy. And relative to every energy system, there are only two qualities of energy. There's that which builds the system up. It's called integrative energy. And that which tears the system down, it's called disintegrative energy. In the ancient Aramaic, disintegrative energy, the word that was used to describe that was sin. Sin does not mean some terrible, awful thing that you've done. Sin is an archery term. When you fired at the target and you missed the bullseye, the scorekeeper yelled sin, you're off the mark. When you put an energy into your structure that is off the mark, your structure says, ouch, when you sin. Because the whole design of the system is to show you when your structure is having an energy put into it that doesn't belong in it. That's all pain is. It's just a warning signal, and what most people want to do is they want to get rid of the signal. Now let's imagine that we were doing this workshop in an old 10-story wooden hotel. And along about this point, all of a sudden the fire alarm goes off in the hotel. And Jeannie says, Michael, hey everybody in the class, don't be concerned about that fire alarm. I've got a pair of wire cutters. I'll go cut the wires to the bell. How many want to stay for the rest of the workshop? Not likely. Why? Because you know that even though the warning signal's gone, nothing's been done to address the fire. It is no different in your energy field. If you put an energy in that doesn't belong there, and your system says ouch, and you take an anesthetic to shut that ouch down, it does nothing to address the source of the disorder, the source of the pain. So putting an energy in that doesn't belong creates pain, and when we deny and suppress our pain, we'll put our pain into our brain's image of someone else. There's an interesting piece of research that was done at Harvard University. And what they showed was that in a time frame where 10,000 brain cells fired, that is, there were 10,000 measurable units of electricity firing in the brain, the maximum amount of information that went into your reality was 9 bits. The actual lab stats were 7 plus or minus 2, maximum of 9. Now, when you're looking at 9 bits out of 10,000, what you're looking at is purely evidence. You are not, I would offer, looking at facts. You're looking at evidence, and your mind is only allowed to show you the evidence that you give it permission to show you. In this same time frame where 10,000 brain cells fired, 9 bits showed up, the max amount of information the amount of information that was estimated to be in the world at that time was approximately 20 trillion bits. So we get to see 9 bits out of a 20 trillion bit world, and we think what's going on out there is something that we're totally in touch with, and we know exactly what's going on out there. When the truth is, what we're in touch with is what's going on in here. Because every reality that shows up in your mind always tells you more about the content of your mind than the world you think you're looking at. But you can play the game of I don't want to see. And you won't see that what you're experiencing is about you. Your mind will show you that it's about someone else. And that's because of the evidential nature of the mind. And the fact that the only evidence you ever get to see in your mind is evidence of your own BS. Of course, that's belief system. Does someone have a different reality for those initials? If you would, I'll invite you to notice that's your reality, it's not mine. I actually have people who'll be insulted when I put those initials BS on the board. If you could imagine yourself being insulted by those letters on the board, notice the nature of the insult. You would be insulted by the reality your mind carries, or that is triggered by those initials, not the one that's in my mind. If you live in a world where you can be easily insulted, guess what? You have a problem. You carry realities of insult. But of course, when someone comes along and triggers those realities, you pretend that if everybody else is the one who's doing the insult. But the insult comes from the internal dynamic that you hold within you. What our work is about today is addressing those internal dynamics and bringing about a shift, bringing about a change in them, and starting to get in touch with the world of truth. Because when most people live in this world of denial, suppression, and projection, they live in a world, in order to do that, they live in a world of blockage of truth. They love their own opinions. They love what shows up in their minds, and they block the truth with their denial. In order to solve that dilemma, we in our culture today are desperately in need of love of truth. Because love of truth will start to unwind the lies that our minds have told us. Because most people live out of this database that comes from the body.